Not sure anyone can actually see this very well. But here's the wheel for the Patreon pick for the TBR for December. I'm gonna go ahead and you can't see any of this, can you? This is terrible YouTubery. Let's see what we have here. So, if I click shuffle, so my patrons decided between, let's see, the possible selections are The Atlas 6, Ship of Magic, Snow Crash, Kindred, Best Served Cold, A Man Called Ove, Jade City, and that's it. I'm not even in the picture anymore. This is the worst. All right, spin. What will it be? Dramatic pause. Count it. Ship of Magic. Looks like I'm starting some more Robin Hobb in December. Robin Hobb. So, as you could see by the wheel at the beginning, in December, I will be starting another gigantic freaking Robin Hobb book. Ship of Magic. So this is first book of the Live Ship trilogy and will be my continuation of The Realm of the Elderlings. I have only read the Farseer trilogy. I've read Assassin's Apprentice twice and then finished Royal Assassin and Assassin's Quest earlier this year. Fantastic books. Absolutely adore her writing. I love the characters in those books. Fitz, the Fool, the entire cast is simply magnificent, except for Molly. She kind of sucks. And I don't really know what to expect out of Ship of Magic other than it takes place at sea for the most part, I think. There are sentient ships. So to my last Robin Hobb question about, the whole, what's your favorite sentient object? I'm assuming that's where I'm going to learn about some here. So, as I said before, Jesus Christ, this book is long. I hear mostly positive things about the series, except for Nick in Discord, who thought it was the most boring book he's ever read in his life. I made a joke about it in my Assassin's Quest review that Robin Hobb, took the length of that book and said, I'm just going to do that forever. And now you get Ship of Magic, which at least in this UK gorgeous paperback edition that I adore the covers of, it's almost 900 pages. So that's a chunky boy. As addictive as morphine, says the Times. Get help, the Times. Stop doing morphine. But yeah, so that'll be book 1 on the TBR for December. I'm just going to go ahead and cover up Robert Baratheon in here in just a second. These are books I'm still reading. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit of a lighter December simply because, well, now that's huge. Best Served Cold was pretty big too. That was another option on the Wheel of Fortune. Don't trademark, copyright strike me for saying that. So next up, I will go with A Storm of Swords because I'm continuing the A Song of Ice and Fire read-along with Jimmy Nuts, the Nut God himself, and Leanna at Leanna's Library. And of course, in at least this hardcover edition, excluding any of the glossaries and appendices, it is 1 Stormlight. That's the length of this one. That's the official length. So I'm actually kind of disappointed in these illustrated editions at this point because A Game of Thrones, the artwork was fantastic. It was in every single chapter. You got a black and white picture, and then there was also color pictures throughout. It seems like as these went on, especially noticeable in A Clash of Kings, the art isn't as good, first of all, and there's less of it. And then they kind of just reprint the same pictures, but in color, like throughout the book in sections, like all together, you'll get them. Some of them look fantastic, like the Quaithe picture is awesome, but I'm noticing even in this one with Storm of Swords, the artwork is totally different. So it looks like it's a drastically different style and artist. I mean, the whole feel of it is wildly different than anything that was in A Game of Thrones or A Clash of Kings. The books are awesome though, and I can always read it on Kindle. I like having the big fat illustrated edition and being able to look at the artwork that's there. If you want really good artwork, just A World of Ice and Fire. That's where the good artwork is. So that's about 2,100 pages. So it's gonna take a little bit. Holy shit, that's gonna take a while. Anyway, so that's why the rest of my TBR for December, I had already decided because I knew this was a thick book, and most likely, unless I got like a short sci-fi book pick, it was going to be a long book to read in December. So I'm going to mix in some shorter sci-fi and go back to some of the roots of sci-fi and start Foundation by Isaac Asimov himself. And I love these books because they're like 250 pages-ish, but like the margins are pretty big. There's a lot of space in between. The text is rather large. So these are going to be nice, short, and sweet. And everything I hear about Isaac Asimov's work, and Foundation especially, which I know just got an adaptation, apparently it's not very good, doesn't really follow the book all too well. These are just going to be great sci-fi reads. I love these short sci-fi tales, and it's just going to be a little bit more digestible than 1,100 pages of A Song of Ice and Fire or Ship of Magic. So Isaac Asimov will be the first sci-fi pick of December that I get into as I continue to just mix in more and more sci-fi as much as possible because I love it. Stay, Foundation. Also, he's not going to stay. These have tons of different covers. I really like these simplistic ones. I believe I don't know if they're Barnes & Noble exclusives or not, but they have a ton of different sci-fi books around the same time period that are in sort of this style, and I really like it. Next up, I am going to step into the world of Dick. Just like your mom. So, Philip K. Dick, Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep? So this is, again, another edition where I love the artwork of like the face behind the text. Another one that's been printed a million times. There's so many different covers for it. But once again, very short and sweet. It's about 200 or so pages, so I'll be able to knock both of these out probably in 5 days or so. I'm not an incredibly fast reader, so 4 or 5 days for both of these combined should be pretty doable. All I really know so far about Philip K. Dick as an author is he's pretty out there, and there's some really weird books that he writes. I know Ubik is apparently very strange. I don't know in what way or manner, but I was actually on Reddit the other day, and it was either in the books subreddit or a fantasy, one of those. Somebody was asking like, what's a book that made you just go, what the fuck at the end of it? And somebody was like, Ubik, or pretty much anything written by Philip K. Dick. So I'm expecting something pretty out there and wacky and thought-provoking in the short length of the book that we have. So just quickly reading the back, it almost gives me an iRobot vibe, which of course is written by Asimov, which I have over there. Almost picked that for next month to read, but I mean, this was published in 1968, so 60s were pretty heavy in a lot of sci-fi, thought-provoking tales. You've got, AI being created by 2021. That's this year, ha! The World War has killed millions, driving entire species into extinction and sending mankind off planet. And then they basically create artificial intelligence, and then they don't like them, and they kick them off of Earth too. So I'm expecting a pretty sort of dark and scary future that he was thinking about. Obviously, 2021, we are not overrun with artificial intelligence that we need to kick off planet and send them to Mars or something. So we'll see. The last sentence on the back though, but when cornered, androids fight back with lethal force. So we're gonna have some human on AI action and slaughter, probably by the billions. So there you go. And of course, yeah, it's the one that inspired Blade Runner. I don't know how much it pulls. I don't know how much Blade Runner pulls from this book. I've always heard that that's like the basis of the movies. Great movies, by the way, but I don't really know exactly like how. It's not like it's an adaptation of this book. It kind of uses the themes and the ideas from that to do Blade Runner. I mean, 2021. I don't think we're going to see the kind of future that's in this book right now, unless it happens tomorrow. And maybe you'll never see this video because androids have taken over. Okay, so book number 5, and one I'm very excited about because this is something I've been talking about. I almost dropped the book. Something I've been talking about doing for a while now that I was planning on starting next year, and I went ahead and read Salem's Lot earlier this year, which was my first Stephen King novel. That's going to be The Dark Tower by Stephen King. And the reading order I decided on is roughly 17 books. I'm still not committing myself completely to reading everything that ties in, although the majority of them that do tie in, however loose it might be, I want to read anyway. So The Stand, I know, is pretty big in this story. people go back and forth on whether or not it really plays a role in the story or not. You have several other books like Eyes of the Dragon, Salem's Lot, which I've already read, Everything's Eventual. There's tons that are mixed in between certain books while not completely spacing it out, because I know there's really insane reading orders where there's like 40 books in it. This is pretty much going to be like 1 or 2 Dark Tower books and then a tie-in book, and then 1 or 2 and then a tie-in. So I went ahead and it also, because I feel like this is the way to go. So there's 2 versions of the Gunslinger. So this is the original version. So I went ahead and picked up a copy of this because the way that the reading order ends is circling back and reading the Gunslinger again, but you read the revisioned version. So the reading order that I'm following has you start with the original edition of the Gunslinger, and then after you finally get to the end, you read Gunslinger again, but the revised version with all the added changes and context and extra content that Stephen King added to it. So as I understand it, this one's a little bit disjointed. It might have some pacing issues, and everybody pretty much says, do not judge the Dark Tower based on the Gunslinger. So I'm expecting something pretty out there and weird. I don't know too much about King's work directly because I've only read Salem's Lot, but I loved it. So I'm really looking forward to this. I've been wanting to get into it for a while. It's super intriguing, and some of King's works that I really wanted to get into the most. And I'm totally down for whatever weird lies ahead. So my plan now, so just to sort of level set here for the next couple of months then, we're going to be finishing A Song of Ice and Fire. So by February, we'll have wrapped up the 5 books. And then probably, potentially, The World of Ice and Fire, because I know Jimbo would just love to deep dive into the lore of the world. And then probably doing Fire and Blood and Night of the Seven Kingdoms. So that's going to take me into the first quarter of next year. Ship of Magic, if I love this book, or at least like it enough to continue, which I'm expecting to, I love Hobb's writing, I'll definitely be reading the next 2, so that'll take me into February. These, it could go anywhere. I'm going to be mixing in a ton of sci-fi, doesn't really matter. And then the Gunslinger, Dark Tower. So Dark Tower is going to be my main big series that I'm working on next year, so lots of Stephen King to come. So yeah, Dark Tower is going to be a mainstay next year. Probably a lot of Realm of the Elderlings, because I do want to continue that. So similar to how this year I did Wheel of Time and Dresden, probably going to be Realm of the Elderlings and Dark Tower. Potentially get back to Malazan at some point. Not really sure. Not going to rush myself there, but that's my December TBR. That's what I plan on reading in the month of December. Thank you, patrons, again for giving me some books to vote on, and we'll just continue the wheel as long as people like it. I know not everybody loves the wheel. Some people like just a straight up vote. I'm not saying one or the other is better. Well, I like to experiment with what we're doing on the Patreon. So the wheel may stay for a while. We might go back to voting. I might come up with something entirely different. Who knows in the future? But so far, so good with the wheel. I'm about to start Night Watch. That was Nick's vote of this month. So that's about to kick off here at the tail end of November. And I'm really looking forward to all of this stuff that, oh my God, the light is just shimmering off the Dark Tower. There you go. Now you can see it. So there's the December TBR. That's how I'm going to close out 2021. And I will, I believe, be 5 or so books ahead of my reading goal this year, which was 65 books. So I think I'm going to finish around 70, which is awesome. Short sci-fi books definitely help there. That's probably going to be about where I'm at, though, because I'm starting to watch more shows and game a lot more. So I'm probably going to cut it back to, at most, will be 5 books a month, probably 4. Because I like to do other things. I don't only read as a hobby. I do lots of other things as well. So that's my December, though. That's going to close out 2021. It's been a great year of reading and YouTube, and thanks for watching. This is going up Friday, so happy Thanksgiving yesterday. Bye.